Hey, Mike. What? Who's got next?
What's good, y'all? It's your man, Hezo, and welcome back to the Blacktop, where I always got next, you feel me? So it's time to talk about the Hawks struggles, man. I've done it in almost every recap in terms of, where they're sitting and everything right now, but this team is in a very, very bad position right now and going forward, and it needs to be addressed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on our way to 1,000 subs, man. I can't believe it. We unfortunately did not get there by the end of the year, so we didn't get there by the start of the new year, and that's fine, but unfortunately, no giveaway, but we're gonna get there at some point in the near future. So shout out to y'all, man. I greatly appreciate everybody who has helped me up until this point and who has supported me up until this point, and that 1,000 mark is right around the corner. Leave a like on the video, and let's get right into it. So again, y'all keep in mind, no recaps in the next week and a half or so for the Hawks games because of that West Coast road trip and because of those late games. But let's go ahead and talk about it, man. What the hell is going on with the Atlanta Hawks? This is a team that had high expectations going into the season. I mean, and we have significantly just underachieved and have been very disappointing. I mean, they have failed to meet expectations thus far this season. Now sitting at 2 games under 500. Number 9 in the Eastern Conference, and this was a team that's supposed to compete for a top 6 seed. You bring in Dejounte Murray. That was supposed to really be the addition that really, I wouldn't say put them over the top to where they're a championship contender, but at least an Eastern Conference Finals contender once again, and we just haven't seen that. And there's a lot of issues, I think, internally with the Hawks, and I want to start with Nate McMillan. That's going to be my first starting point. Now, Hawks fans out there, y'all know how I feel about Nate McMillan. He's not the answer for this team. He's not the right coach. He doesn't run offensive sets. Y'all already know how I feel about Nate McMillan, and I really do think he is the number one problem to why this team is struggling. And to be honest, I do not think that Atlanta will be able to turn it around until Nate McMillan is gone. Him and Trae just don't see eye to eye, and I'm going to talk about Trae here in just a minute, but Nate McMillan has done a piss poor job with this roster since he's taken over. I mean, obviously, yeah, we went on the Eastern Conference Finals run, right? I get all that. But last year, we were dog shit. And you can blame injuries, you can blame whatever. And same thing this year. You can blame the injuries, you can blame the shooting. All that stuff ties in, and I get all that. But Nate McMillan is at the head. And you have to start from there with turning this team around. When you look at a team like the Brooklyn Nets, and after they fired Steve Nash, it did wonders for their team. They're now sitting at like number 2 or number 3 in the Eastern Conference and is one of the best teams in the league and a significant threat to win the title this year. And that all happened after they fired Steve Nash. Atlanta can go on kind of that same type of run if they get rid of Nate McMillan. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, I think that the front office has already committed to him and he's the coach going forward. Now, there was that rumor, that report that came out that said that he's considering stepping down, but I don't know if I believe that. I mean, there's always rumors like that come out that seem like they're real reports, and I know Shams did report it, but then, what's his name? Nate McMillan's son, whoever on the coaching staff, I don't know his first name, but he came out and said, go directly to the source next time. So I don't think that's a legit report. Nate McMillan even addressed it in an interview that he'll address it at the end of the season, and he's sticking with it for now. He's sticking with the team for now. And I got to say, man, if I'm Landry Fields, you have to at some point evaluate your coach and what he's done for this team post Eastern Conference Finals run. And it's been mid. It's been subpar. It's been really 500 basketball, and there's too much talent on this roster to be a 500 or less team, and it's as simple as that. When you look at other teams around the league that have arguably a far lesser talented roster, when you look at teams like the Pacers, like the Kings, teams like that who are above 500 that don't quite have the talent that the Hawks have. I mean, we have 2 all-stars. I mean, maybe the Kings, because the Kings do have a lot of talent on that roster, but a team like the Pacers, that's not a very deep, talented team, but yet they're well coached and they play like a team. And that's one big problem that we have seen with the Hawks is we don't play team basketball. You have to point at Nate McMillan for that, for the offensive system that he has in place. So let's talk about Trae. This is going to be, listen, man, I have been supportive of Trae since we have drafted him. And if any of y'all out there are campaigning for a Trae trade, I will not get on board with that. And I'm sorry. That will never be a direction that I decide to take, to where I think that we should move on from Trae Young, because I don't see that happening. I don't see that as a realistic option, and I just don't see that as a smart option. Trae, at the end of the day, is our franchise. He is our guy going forward, and y'all Hawks fans need to come to terms with that. The organization is not going to trade Trae Young. They have committed to him. There's a reason why they traded fucking Luka Doncic for him on draft night, because they committed to Trae. They want Trae as the guy. Now, with that being said, Trae has a lot of issues, and I think it goes deeper than just what we're seeing on the court. And I think it starts with Nate McMillan. And I think that is part of the reason why we've seen the Trae Young that we have seen this year. Now, granted, recently he's been a lot better. His shooting percentages have increased, but there's still moments where I'm just like, Trae, what the fuck are you doing? There was 2 moments I noticed in the Lakers game, and I'm going to see if I can maybe find the video. If I can't, my apologies.
One of the top rookies as far as steals are concerned. He can shut you down one-on-one. Trae Young for 3.
When he was coming down on I wouldn't even call it a fast break, but he was in transition, and with 20 seconds on the shot clock, he pulls up for a jump shot.
That's the 4th turnover for LeBron tonight. Trae Young, little sidestep to the left. Rebound, Thomas Bryant.
That is bad offense. And it looks to me like when you take a type of shot like that, because there was nobody even under the rim for a chance at an offensive rebound. When you take a shot like that, it looks to me like, I don't give a fuck. I just don't care. And I hate that, because that's kind of it's what I'm starting to see out of Trae, that he has that I don't care mentality at this point. And I think that is because of all the turmoil and everything that's been going on with the team, and potentially even in the locker room behind closed doors. There's been multiple reports that players don't like playing with Trae. Now, whether or not that's true or not, that may not be true. It may be true. You never know. I know John Collins has criticized him in the past, and I've been very critical of Trae with his shot selection. That's the one thing I have been very, very critical of, is Trae's shot selection. This coming into transition and pulling up for 3 and pulling up for jump shots bullshit has to stop if Trae is ever going to be a leading player to a successful franchise. And we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen him be able to change his play style and adapt to what works as opposed to what he's accustomed to. And I think, again, you have to point to coaching for that, because if we have a legit coach that will actually coach Trae, and Trae is willing to listen to him, then I think we have a formula for success. But with Nate McMillan, that's just not been the case. Trae and Nate don't get along. They don't see eye to eye. And until we get a new coach going forward, that's going to be the case. And I think Trae is mentally checked out already this season because of all the issues internally with the coaches and all that bullshit that's been going on. I think Trae is mentally checked out. He does often kind of just looks like he's disinterested. When I see him on the bench, a lot of times he looks like he's just not interested. And that's a big, big, big problem right now. The Hawks got a lot to figure out. And it starts with Nate, and it starts with Trae as well. Trae is supposed to be the leader of this team. And I'll be honest, man, Trae's not a good leader. He has not been a great leader since he's been drafted, because there's just moments where you kind of just see where he really should be lifting up his teammates. And instead, like when you're kind of clapping for the ball for Jalen Johnson to give you the ball off a rebound, like, bro, you don't only have to be the guy to bring the ball up. I get you initiate the offense, but that's just selfish. It's so selfish that you always feel like you have to have the ball in your hands unless it's Dejounte Murray. Then it's hero ball down the stretch of every single fourth quarter with him and Dejounte. It's either, here Trae, it's your turn. Here, Dejounte, it's your turn. And that's been a huge reason why the Hawks have consistently collapsed in second half of ball games and in fourth quarters of ball games, because they consistently go to hero ball. And again, that starts with coaching, because you don't see that with a lot of other teams, because they have great coaching and they have players who are willing to listen to their coach and willing to learn from their coach. Nate McMillan has lost this team. I feel like he just doesn't have a grip on them. He doesn't have control of them. Trae does whatever he wants. And with a great coach and a strict coach and everything, you won't see that. And I think that's the change that Atlanta needs to make. And I cannot stress that enough. You can see the frustration on the court. Not even just with Trae, just with other guys. There was one play I noticed early on, I think in the first quarter against the Lakers, when John Collins got a switch and he had Russell Westbrook in the post. and was calling for the ball. Dejounte Murray could have easily hit him with a bounce pass, but instead he decided to swing it around to AJ Griffin. Now, AJ Griffin made the three. I get it. But you could see how frustrated John Collins was. It's been a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that with JC, that he doesn't get involved enough in the offense. And that is just a big problem. And it starts with the point guards. These guys, Dejounte and Trae, are great playmakers, but they try and do so much themselves, especially at the end of the game. And it just leads to bad offense and just bad basketball. And that's another reason why we're sitting 2 games under 500. It's not all on Nate. It is, obviously on, the players as well, but it starts with Nate. Then you have to look at the shooting. The three-point shooting is down this season. John Collins has not shot the ball well from 3. Trae has not shot the ball well from 3. Dejounte has had his moments, but we missed Bogey for a big portion of this season. We don't have a lot of 3-shooters on this team, and it is really showed why the offense gets so stagnant when there's a lack of spacing on the floor. But Trae has to be better. Trae has to be better as a leader. He has to be better as a player, and he really needs to just take a look in the mirror, bro. Like, you're not Steph Curry. You're not those guys likes of Damian Lillard. You're an elite player. You're a borderline superstar player. But you have to stop being so damn selfish and get other guys involved and stop taking these dumb-ass step-back jump shots and not moving the ball around. There's a lot of times where Trae will come down the court and he will have the ball for the entire duration of the shot clock without the ball moving at all. And that is just bad offense. And that just tells me that you don't give a fuck about getting your teammates involved. As long as you get yours, you're happy. And I don't want to say that's what he's doing, but that's what it looks like to the spectator like myself. Now, y'all can tell me what you think about that, but that's what it looks like to me whenever he's dribbling the entire shot clock out in either isolation, or he tries to get a pick, isolates, and then just takes a step back jumper, or takes a jump shot with 20 seconds on the shot clock without even making a pass. It's just selfish. It's selfish basketball, and it's not going to equate to wins, and we've seen that. That's why we're 2 games under 500. It's not the main reason, but it's a big portion. So enough about Trae. I want to talk about the Dejounte Murray trade for a second. This trade was supposed to be, again, a move that took us over, not over the top, but put us back in the Eastern Conference Finals, conversation. We look at teams around the league, well, not even really teams. I look at the Cavs specifically, and the trade that they made for Donovan Mitchell with another backcourt mate with him and Darius Garland. And they have meshed so well together. And it's not that Trae and Dejounte haven't meshed well together, but it's the other pieces around, with them a lot of the time playing hero ball down the stretch of the game. The cockiness, the arrogance. We saw it against the Rockets. That type of selfishness and arrogance is never going to win you ball games. You're 2 games now under 500, and you gave up 3 first-round picks for Dejounte. It's been a disaster. This trade, so far, we have lost because it has not shown on the productive end on the basketball court. Now, yeah, Dejounte has had great individual numbers. Trae has had great individual numbers outside of the shooting percentages. But when you put it all together collectively, Atlanta does not play like a team. And you have to look at the 2 point guards for that, and you have to look at the coach for that. It starts with both of those. Trae was one of the ones who pushed for Atlanta to make a move for Dejounte and give up those draft picks for a win now type move, and we haven't seen it work out. We've underachieved, and it has just been we've been a big failure this year. And if something doesn't change going forward, we're going to be on either the outside looking in, or we're going to be in the play-in once again as an 8 or 9 seed, when we should really be like a 5 or 6, and in hindsight. So now I want to move on to DeAndre Hunter. And this is going to be a quick little analysis that I have on DeAndre Hunter. And it's for mainly you DeAndre Hunter haters out there that say he's worthless. Because if you haven't realized what DeAndre Hunter's value to this team is by this point, you're blind. You're absolutely blind. The Hawks are 1-9 when DeAndre Hunter is out of the lineup so far this season. 1-9. If that doesn't tell you what his value is, open your fucking eyes. He's 3rd on the team in scoring, and he's the best perimeter defender we have. And yet there's still some of you out there that consistently slander DeAndre Hunter when he has a bad shooting performance, but yet will get stops on the defensive end because you only look at offense. You only box score watch. I'm not a box score watcher. I don't care if Dre finishes with 6 points. If he's doing his job on the defensive end and getting key stops down the stretch of games like he did on DeMar DeRozan against the Bulls, that's what makes DeAndre Hunter so valuable. And if you can't see that, then I don't even know what to tell you. I truly don't know what to tell you. DeAndre Hunter is such a key piece going forward for this team. I really hope he gets back healthy because we have a really tough stretch of games going on this West Coast road trip going forward, and we really need him back in the lineup. Again, man, the Hawks got a ton of things to figure out this season. I mean, we still have a lot of ball games left, but I'm not going to keep being the one where, oh, guys, let's stay patient. You know, let's be optimistic. I'm not going to keep being that guy because at some point they do need to figure it out, or else we're going to be on the outside looking in once again, or we're going to be a playing team in a first round exit, and it's going to be a complete disaster, and the Dejounte Murray experiment will have significantly failed. And that scares me because next season he will be on an expiring deal, and will he want to resign? If Atlanta is a first round exit team or whatever this season once again, is he going to want to stay in Atlanta? Is he going to want to stay with Trae? And it's going to be a big question mark going forward. If Atlanta does not clean it up, you know, going forward this season, figure out their locker room issues, figure out their coaching situation, and figure out just all the bullshit that's been going on internally that we're all hearing about. They have to make adjustments somewhere. Something needs to change. Whether it's on the roster, whether it's in the coaching staff, whether it's in the front office. I said that in my last video. Something has to change if Atlanta going forward is going to make a run or string together wins and get back into a playoff position to where we're not sitting at 8 or 9. There's too much talent on this roster for us to be at the 9 seed right now, even with all the injuries. I'm not going to blame the fucking injuries because we have too much talent on this team with two all-star players, one of them being an all-NBA player, for us to be losing to teams like the Lakers, when even though Braun got 37 and went crazy, there's no excuse for losing to a team like the Lakers, losing to a team like the Magic, losing to teams like the Rockets. Losing to a team like the Pacers. Even though they have a winning record, the Pacers on paper should not be beating the Hawks. It's just that simple. Something needs to change. I'm gonna pretty much leave it there, man. Not really much more I can go into. I got pretty much everything I wanted to talk about off of my chest. This was more just one of those rant videos where, you know, I'm sitting and I'm looking and I'm watching every Hawks game and I'm just like, I gotta talk about it, man. I gotta talk about it. I gotta talk about all this bullshit that's going on that I can't go into too much depth during my recaps because it'll just be a 30-minute rant video at that point, and I don't want to do that for a recap, so that's why I'm making this video now for y'all. Again, tough stretch of games coming up here. We do go on that West Coast road trip, so it's only going to get harder. It is only going to get harder from here on out, and at some point, what is the breaking point? I'm wondering. What is the last straw to where we say, okay, Nate, your time's up. You haven't produced. You haven't had success with this roster. It's time for you to go. Is it 5 games under 500? Is it 10 games under 500? Is it at all? Is it we wait till the All-Star break? We wait till after the trade deadline? I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about the direction of this team going forward. What adjustments do you think Atlanta needs to make? Don't say Trae Young. Please don't say Trae Young because it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. Just get that out your mind. Get it out because it ain't going to happen. We can be critical of Trae Young. We can question Trae Young, but we're not going to trade him. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Leave a like on the video, and I will catch y'all next episode.